Hi everyone, we've just recorded another episode of FLINT Talks. This is episode 11, which is very exciting for us to have passed that big episode 10 milestone. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Hassana, who is a recruitment agent and a fellow FLINT Auckland team member. We have had a great chat about recruitment agents, what they are, how they work, how they can help you as an individual, as well as how they help the organizations that they work for. We went into a little bit about Hassana's history in the recruitment agent space, from working in Australia through to starting her own business recently, which we're all very proud of her for. And then towards the end, we touched on a couple of the other initiatives from FLINT, like the organization that we're a part of, as well as a new organization for Maori in the technology space called Taniwha. So yes, please have a listen. Let us know if you're interested in learning more about any of the things we've mentioned. And yeah, we'll see you next month. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of FLINT Talks. My name's Caitlin, and I'm a member of the Auckland FLINT team. And today I'm joined by a brand new guest on the FLINT Talks podcast, and that is Hassana, who is a fellow member of our Auckland FLINT League team. I've known Hassana now through FLINT for a couple of years, and it's always been really great to work with her and have her positive energy come into everything. So, Hassana, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yes, thank you, Caitlin. Happy to be here. So, as you mentioned, my name's Hassana, born and raised in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, and I've been in the recruitment industry for almost 10 years now. So, like literally all I've really known for my whole career slash life. And about 9 months ago, I took the plunge and started my own recruitment agency, Mahia Recruitment, which is a specialist technology recruitment agency based here in Auckland, and also on the FLINT team, as Caitlin mentioned, and a mother to a beautiful 3-year-old little boy.
Wow, it sounds like you've been very busy, both with your son, who is super cute, by the way, and with starting your own business. Any of our listeners who aren't familiar with recruitment agents and how they work, do we maybe want to start there and you give us a little bit of a rundown of what recruitment agents do, how they might work for us, and then we can jump into how your business is going.
So, yeah, really good question, Caitlin. So, businesses will partner with a recruitment agency or consultant to help them find the best candidate, both from a technical and a cultural perspective. And from the candidate side, you will, apply for a job through either Seek, Trade Me, LinkedIn, or whichever job board you use, and go through the process through a recruitment consultant slash agency. And they will then put together a short list of the top 2 to 3 candidates and then present that to the client, and then the client will then, go through and, pick who they want to meet with for an interview. And the recruitment consultant will manage that process from start to finish. So it's really nice to have somebody who's in your corner, who's obviously advocating for you from a salary perspective, what you're looking for from a cultural perspective as well, career goals, all that kind of stuff, because it is really hard to gauge that from just a CV or, just from applying for a job directly online.
So, summing it up from a business perspective, you work as almost as their HR team, finding those people to interview, getting all that organized so that they can then easily make that decision without having to comb through hundreds and hundreds of CVs first. Does that sound about right?
Yes, that is correct. And we basically do that on a daily basis. We've got the privilege of having those connections with candidates, with people that we know, because I do see it as a real privilege being able to talk to someone about, their non negotiables, their career goals, what they're looking for. And also on the flip side, from the client's perspective as well, we're tasked with the hardest job, which is building a team, helping them find the right person to come on board and help their business grow.
Absolutely. And yeah, that definitely does sound like a privilege, especially when you can find the perfect role for that person that you've been spending however many hours talking to.
Yeah.
So from the candidate side then, do you build relationships with them over time and help them get into different roles, or are you kind of only talking to them in that kind of one candidate to one job role perspective?
So yes, it is very relationship driven. I work on a relationship basis anyway. So for me, it's really important to get to know somebody on a personal level, because I think regardless of what you're wanting to achieve in your career. If you've got a family, or you're about to have a family, or you want to move overseas, or whatever that looks like for you, that's a really important part of your career process as well, and finding you the right role. So I've worked with contractors that I've known for years, some that I've placed, some that I haven't placed before, but we still keep in touch because, your network is so important. And sometimes a lot of the roles that we do have are not advertised. So it could be, a position that we've just picked up from a client, and we call a candidate that we spoke to 2 weeks ago, or someone that we've known for years who we know is actively on the market, or someone that is, not looking, but it does match a lot of what they're looking for. So yeah, it's very relationship.
Awesome. And so, yeah, it sounds like the more recruitment agents you know, the better your job prospects might be. So, good thing to note for everyone listening. Make friends with with your recruitment agencies.
Yes, but don't cast your net too wide. I'm a big believer in having a few people in your corner that know you really well. And obviously, as we know, there are a lot of recruitment agencies. I mean, globally, it's a massive thing. And there's definitely a lot of businesses out there who do this kind of work. But partnering with recruitment experts that know you, understand you, and you know that they will present you in the best way possible is really important too. And a lot of that can be word of mouth. Like, I've had candidates come to me from other people that I've placed, or just through, meeting them at events.
Yeah, absolutely. And on your point of there being heaps of recruitment agencies out there, in some research for this episode, I read that there was over 1,200 employment placement and recruitment services in New Zealand, and that had grown by over 3% in the last year alone. So, with all the options out there, how would you go about finding those few to have in your corner, do you think? Is it all just seeing who you work with and who's in your network, or are there things you could look out for in terms of choosing a recruitment agent to go with?
So I would definitely do your research. And as I said before, you want to make sure that the recruitment consultant is presenting you in a really positive way. And they're not just sending, a million CVs to the hiring manager. So you can go onto Google, read their company reviews, look at the consultant's recommendations on LinkedIn. A lot of it is word of mouth as well. Actually, in the technology market, if I personally don't have any opportunities available for a candidate that comes to me, I will then refer them to someone in my recruitment network, past colleagues that I've worked with that I trust and know who are really good. So just little things like that. And you want to work with someone who is a specialist in your market. So if that is technology, if it's, project services, transformation, or kind of more software development and testing, you want to find that consultant who works in that area, because they're going to typically be the person who has the right jobs for you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You definitely not want someone that specializes in hospitality or something trying to
Yeah.
find you a development role, because that's probably not going to work out the best.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, on that note, then, your new business, which is very exciting, nearly a whole year old now, that must be big. You've gone specialized in the technology industry. Do you want to tell me a little bit about how you maybe got into that specification and why it's kind of been your niche, I guess?
Mm. Yeah, really, another really good question. It's for me, it's all I've ever known, since I started in the recruitment industry many years ago. And I've always been really passionate about technology and the innovation of it, and just how fast it moves. I'm obviously not a technical person myself, but I understand enough to help me work with clients to find them the best person. It was kind of a no-brainer, for me when I decided to go out on my own and start a recruitment agency to specialize in technology. And, potentially in the future, I will look at branching out into different areas. And, I really want to be known. I want Mahia to be known as more of a specialist within a generalist. We are specialists within our space, and we know what we do, and obviously have really solid networks built in this area. Yeah, and that was really important for me because, if I was personally looking for a job, I would want the consultant that I'm working with to really know their market and understand actually what I'm looking for and what I do.
Yeah, going back to the hospo versus development space makes a lot of sense. The only experience I really have with recruitment agencies are those that message me on LinkedIn all the time, which can be fun. Yeah, hearing about what they've got, but sometimes it's completely irrelevant, which
Mm.
can be a little bit silly. How do you see those kind of recruiters reaching out to people without any real sense of what they're looking for, that kind of thing. Do you see that a lot in the market, or is that more of an
Yes.
outlier?
Yeah, definitely. No, it is. I think we're notorious. A lot of recruitment agencies are notorious for that. And I mean, I think this industry is a great space to be in. I really think it's an awesome space. And again, we've got the privilege of, helping clients build really solid teams to help develop and grow New Zealand or, on a global scale as well. So we've got a really big job to do. Um, but I think if you are put into that position, I'm such a massive advocate, for even if you're not actively looking for a job and you obviously want to decline it and you're like, actually, I'm not interested, it doesn't hurt to just connect with that person and just to see what they have available. Because even if you're not looking and it's maybe not the right role for you, or like you said, it's not even relevant to what you're doing or you're looking for, they might be able to connect you with somebody else or open another door for you. So the power of connection, which we obviously know through Flint and going to events and networking is a big part of your career and can help you grow in other areas. Yeah, and I would put that, if they're reaching out to you for roles that aren't relevant to you, I'd put that down to maybe they don't have a proper understanding of what the role is or a proper brief from the client. So maybe going back and questioning them, because also you might know someone in your network that could be potentially good for it when you have a better understanding of the role.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we could all be helping each other, which would be really nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's one of the big trends in the recruitment space lately that I've been seeing is just people reaching out, doing lots of
Yeah.
LinkedIn marketing. Has that all changed post COVID? Do you think, or have we always kind of been doing a lot of it online rather than in person?
Mm. Yes, no, I totally agree. And I think the market's obviously changed significantly since COVID, especially within the last 12 months, as we've seen, and the quality is very up and down. I've been hearing from a lot of candidates, even other recruiters in the space that I know quite well. And I think everybody's just really trying to do their best with what we've got. Fortunately, like when I launched my business, it was during a recession, so there's change of government, so I had no idea what to expect. It was super quiet for a couple of months, and then I got quite busy. And, I'm in a really lucky position where I get to pick and choose who I work with and invest time with. And I've got a handful of really awesome clients that I'm working with. So for me, instead of like casting my net really wide and working with everybody, I get to really focus a lot of my time and energy on them and finding them the best people. And I know in the recruitment industry, it's obviously, there's a lot of pressure that people are being faced with. So it is tough out there, even for recruiters as well. But yeah, I think, the best thing that you can do from a candidate's perspective is to build that relationship with the recruitment consultant in your industry. Because again, as I said, even if they don't have the right opportunity for you right now, right here and now, they might in the next 12 months or, you can refer one of your friends to them. And it's also a good way, for when that position does come up, they're going to put you front and center in front of that client as opposed to posting a Seek job ad and then you applying and you're just a CV amongst, another 100 candidates, which is tough out there at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We did a episode, or a couple of months ago now, about job seeking and how hard it is at the moment
Mm,
with all of the layoffs and seeing a general kind of, I don't know, down feelings around finding jobs and looking
yeah.
for opportunities, especially if you have unfortunately been made redundant or are actively looking and have been looking for some time. So yeah, I don't want to say it's nice to hear that everyone's in the same boat,
Yeah.
but yeah, knowing that the recruiters understand and kind of empathize with that is probably going to
Mm,
be really, really reassuring to hear for a lot of the people looking for jobs in the market
yeah.
at the moment. So another thing I did want to ask you, our Flint team, the people that might be listening to this podcast, some of them are technical, some of them aren't. And some of them might be listening to this and going, actually, being a recruitment agent sounds like a really cool job.
Mm.
Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about how you got into it, how people can kind of get into being a recruiter these days?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a cool question. You definitely don't need a degree, or there's no kind of recruitment school that I can think of. But I got into the industry. I'd left my customer service job and then moved over to Sydney, and decided to just kind of see what Sydney, Australia had to offer. And I started to get interviewed by a lot of recruiters. I was like, wow. you just meet with people and you all seem so happy and you're drinking coffee and having these meetings. So I want to see what this is about. And then randomly, I went to Melbourne for the weekend, fell in love with the city, decided to move there. And I was just applying for a whole bunch of, customer service, random admin jobs. And I'm a massive believer in everything happens for a reason. So the stars definitely aligned for this one. I had applied for a job with an amazing global agency, and it was kind of more of an admin support role, helping their top consultant manage all her contractors. So went through the interview process, like fell in love with the people that I met and got the job. And basically I was working with like the best recruiter in Australia at the time. Well, she probably still is, to be fair. And I was her right hand, girl, and basically looked after all her contractors. She had over 100 contractors. And if you're any kind of recruitment consultant, you'll know that's a lot for one person. And she really wanted someone to be dedicated to making sure these individuals were looked after, and if they needed anything, they had someone there because she was obviously quite busy. So I started to see, how she worked, and I just loved the way she worked, and I saw a lot of similarities in our personalities. And also the conversations that she was having because she works in the technology space, within project services. And she was meeting with a lot of really interesting people, from BAs to program managers, change managers. And she was having these really interesting conversations that I'd never heard about or just didn't know anything about, in terms of technology. And I just got really fascinated with it. So decided to then move home for family reasons, and I was like, "Why don't I get into recruitment and see where it goes?" Yeah, and have always specialized in tech and kinda just grown and evolved over the years and worked with some really awesome people, and yeah, I definitely wouldn't be in this position or been able to start Mahia Recruitment, without a lot of the help and knowledge that I've learned over the years. And I've had a few people recently ask me that question, "How do I get into recruitment? It looks like a great industry," and it really is. It is a lot of hard work, it's a lot of rejection. We're a people-based business, so we're dealing with people's lives and emotions. It's not just about kind of connecting the dots and finding somebody a job. You do deal with people being made redundant in situations or candidates not being offered the job that you have put them forward and they really wanted it, but they went with the other candidate. So there's a lot of that involved. I like to think of recruitment consultants as, the people that wear many hats. We are counselors, we're friends, we're colleagues, we're career coaches, interview coaches. We do many things. It's not just, connecting the dots and people into jobs. And it's a real privilege, because we get to help people to find that dream job and also help the hiring managers find the best people to help them build up some amazing projects. So if you want to get into it, reach out to a recruitment consultant or a manager at a company and just have a conversation, and you don't need to go to university. I don't even know if there's a degree in recruitment. I don't think there is. But yeah, I didn't go to uni. I left school at 16 and just have kind of worked in customer service jobs, and that helped me build a lot of, resilience and navigating conversations and like being uncomfortable and being, uncomfortable in spaces that I'm not used to. So yeah, a lot of it is just really around that human element and building connections with people and being quite genuine about it. I think being genuine is definitely really important and really caring about, yeah, people and their lives and their careers. So yeah, 2 tips if you want to get into recruitment, reach out to a recruitment agency directly and have a chat with them, see what they've got to offer, or connect with a rec to rec. There's some, good rec to recs in Auckland. They might be able to give you more insight into, who's hiring, who's not, who's growing, who's not. So yeah.
Well, some great tips for our listeners and some really cool insights into your own path, which has been really cool to see. And yeah, Australia is great, but we're very glad to have you back. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people that will say the same thing because I know alongside your Mahia recruitment, you're also involved in some other really cool initiatives. Flint obviously being one of them. We put on events for other young people in the technology space. But there's a couple of others that I know that you've jumped in on board with recently that I'd love to hear a little bit more about. If you want to jump into maybe the Taniwha group or any of the other bits and pieces you're doing lately.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. And yes, alongside Tech Taniwha, Flint holds a really special place in my heart. It's been a really cool couple of years being involved with this group, and I see it only going from strength to strength. So Tech Taniwha, so my high school friend and I actually, Zav, we we went to high school together and we kind of reconnected because she actually works in technology and I obviously work on the recruitment side of tech. So we bonded over that and rekindled our relationship and started to hang out and go to events. You know, a common theme that we saw when we were going to these events, which were external to Flint events across Auckland, and it could be like anything to do with like women in tech or more technical events or just anything tech related or business related as well. We saw a real trend in the fact that a lot of them lacked the representation of Māori and Pacifica. And as we know, Māoris and Pacific Islanders make up a really small proportion of employees in the technology sector. I think it's between like 2 and 4%. So we really wanted to kind of we put our brains together and we were talking about this and it literally came about from a conversation. We were like, how do we drive more Māori Pacifica, to events, specifically Māori in this space? And we kind of got thinking and we were like, why don't we create our own community group in this space, specifically for Māori who do work in tech? And there are a lot of really awesome businesses already and organizations doing really great work in this space. But what we wanted to do was create like a kind of like a grapevine of people who could connect with other people from other organizations who do whakapapa Māori. And it's been about 6 months so far since we kind of did our initial launch, and it's been amazing, an amazing 6 months. And the space is literally just created for Māori in tech who want to connect with other Māori in tech and who want to, collaborate and share ideas and help lift each other up because there's a lot of people doing, again, as I said, doing really awesome stuff in the space, but we really saw a lack of that kind of connection, between everything and a consistent connection up to keep it going. So we've got about 22 people in our community in our Tech Taniwha group, and I only see that growing, nationally across Aotearoa over time. And we literally just put people on the spotlight, on the stage to be front and center and share the cool things that they're doing. Because again, there's a lot of cool people doing really cool stuff. And I've seen the confidence in some of our Tech Taniwha, like over the 3 events that we've had, just tenfold, since seeing them. And I've had conversations with people on the side being like, I'm more confident to do this or say yes to this now because of the Tech Taniwha community. And that's why we do it. It's amazing. And that's probably a real, again, that's a real privilege that I get to do alongside building Mahia Recruitment is do stuff like this, for the tech community, specifically for Māori in tech. And I want to see a lot more of these individuals in leadership positions over the years to come. So yeah, watch the space and can't wait to see what the future holds for Tech Taniwha.
Oh, absolutely. How do people get involved?
So if you want to get involved, whether you are Māori in tech, literally just reach out to me directly on LinkedIn or through email and we can connect you. And it's not kind of we haven't created the group specifically to be like shut off from the rest of the world for Māori in tech. We also want to have allies in this space, which is like our supporters, people who also want to be on this journey, with us and learn about the kind of highs and the lows of being Māori in tech, and how to navigate the corporate world, and how do we bring other people in. So if you are not Māori and you are in tech, definitely reach out. We'd love to, have you at some of our events that we host as well in the future and connect you with our people in this space. Because again, for us, it's really just, about creating that community to uplift each other and put everybody in the spotlight, when they're ready and help them progress in their careers.
Awesome. Well, we'll be sure to pop some links and things in the description of this recording on YouTube, as well as in our Spotify and Apple Podcast descriptions. So that's probably all we've got time for. Thank you, Hassana, so much for joining us. And it'll be so exciting to hear some of the feedback we get about this episode. For everyone listening, I do just want to mention our upcoming Tech Users Summit, which is put on by TUANZ. That's happening on September the 12th and is being followed by their Tech Awards night. I know that we do have a Flint award happening. I think the nominations were all in July. So by the time
Mm.
this episode comes out, they're probably closed. But it'll be so exciting to see some future leaders in the tech space nominated and winning that really cool award. And we do have our Flint session happening at the Tech Users Summit. I think we're doing it in the afternoon just before 5, but we'll definitely pop out some more details as soon as we hear about that. So yeah, a big thank you, Hassana, and we'll see everybody in the next episode.
Thanks, Caitlin.